Money is a great tool, but it's a terrible master. Until you and I learn how to master our money, it will master us and it can actually rob us from the life that we truly wanted. Hey friends, my name is Ezekiel. If this is your first time here, I just want to quickly introduce myself. I'm a husband, a dad, we have small kids, and I work in tech. And my goal for this channel is to help dads and husbands like you and me learn how to lead without burning out, both in our homes and in our workplaces. And today I want us to explore this question of how can we pursue financial success without giving our leftovers to the people that really matters to us, our family, our wives, and our kids. Now, if you're like me, faith-driven, who loves family, who loves God, you know deep down inside that there's a calling and a dream in your life. And now with family, you and I, we live in this constant tension of asking the question of how much do we push to pursue that dream, that calling that God has for us, while at the same time making sure that we're not compromising our time with our family, that we're not giving them our leftovers. Now, I've been there. I know how easy it is to fall into the trap thinking of, if I have more money, we will have more financial peace. We will have more financial freedom. My wife and I, we've been living off one income since our first child was born. And we live here in the Silicon Valley. And it can be challenging to live in an area like this. Earlier on in our marriage, when our son was about 1 year old, I left my job because that's a time when my wife decided to say yes to her calling to be home with our child. So there was this pressure that I was putting to myself that I needed to provide. So there was an opportunity for a bigger name company and also a 25% increase in our salary. So we made that move. But a few months later, I found myself very unhappy. I wasn't seeing my child because I was leaving early and coming home late. It reminds me of that saying that if we're not careful, we might find ourselves climbing that ladder of success. And at the end, when we get to the top, we find the ladder leaning on the wrong wall. You see, here's the thing. The truth is that financial peace doesn't come from having more. It actually comes from managing what God has already given us and learning how to manage it wisely and also with purpose. So the big idea today that I want us to explore is that money is a powerful tool. It's a great tool, but it's a terrible master. And until we learn how to manage it, it will actually control our life. And the key to financial peace is not earning more, but it's actually aligning our financial decisions with our faith, with our family values, so that we can build wealth without sacrificing what matters most to us. Now, let's be honest. As faith-driven dads, there are common traps that we can fall into as we try for success. If you're competitive like me, you want to go out there and you want to prove that you matter. And I don't think it's wrong per se, but if we're not careful as we pursue financial peace and financial freedom for our family, we can fall into these traps. And the first trap that I want to talk about is lifestyle inflation. As your income grows, so do your expenses. Now think about it. The last time you got a pay increase, did you maintain the lifestyle that you had, or did you bring in more expenses? We upgrade our cars, we upgrade our houses, the vacations, but let me ask you this question: for what cost? The more we spend, the more pressure that we bring into our family to feel that we need to keep earning, and that cycle never ends. Instead of maintaining the lifestyle that we had, the cost of living that we had before that increase, the more money we made, the more expenses that we take on. Trap number 2 is over leverage. Here in the United States, it's so easy to get access to debt. And having commercial debt can feel like a shortcut to the life that you want, but it's a trap. In Proverbs 22:7, it says that the borrower is a slave to the lender. When you over leverage, you're not free, you're actually stuck. It limits your freedom, it limits your choices. And trap number 3 that I want to talk about today is neglecting generosity. When we focus solely on building wealth for ourselves, we miss the joy and the purpose that comes from giving. I think one of the common traps is that we say that if I make more, then I'll be more generous. But what are you doing with the money that you have right now? Jesus said that if we're faithful in the little, we can be faithful with much more. But if we're unfaithful in the small things, then how can we be entrusted with more? Generosity breaks the grip of greed and reminds us that everything that we have is a gift from God. Okay, so now that we talked about what to avoid, I want us to dive into 4 practical steps to master our money and to make sure that our finances actually serve us instead of us serving our money. Step number 1 is to be honest with yourself. It's about defining your why. Before you say yes to a new job or that opportunity, I want to challenge you to pause and to be brutally honest with yourself. Why am I doing this? Is this just a trend? Am I trying to prove that I matter? Am I trying to justify my existence? Am I comparing myself to my peers? Because at the end of the day, if you don't define what matters to you, you will find yourself in a place that you don't want. You'll find yourself living someone else's life instead of you enjoying the life that God called you to live. And I get this, my friends. Earlier in my career, my why was being defined by how my peers are doing. Oh, now they're working for this company. Oh, now they have this job title. It was a constant comparison, and that's why I was always moving from one job to the next. Actually, I was in a conference about a week ago, and someone checked out my LinkedIn, and the person was saying that, oh, you've been to many companies. And I was joking, but I was honest with them. I said I didn't know what I wanted, so I was moving from company to company, and it becomes that treadmill, and you find yourselves exhausted and you find yourselves unhappy. And that's not the life, that's not the legacy that God wants you to leave for your family. So be honest with yourself before you say yes to an opportunity. Just stop for a moment. Step number 2 is to know where your money goes. It's about creating a budget. Now, for some of you, you're saying, you know what, I've tried this budget thing. It's awful, it's terrible, it's a lot of work. Hey friends, I get it. I use Excel for my budget, and it takes me a few hours every month to reconcile. But here's the thing, what gets measured gets improved. If you don't tell your money where it needs to go, it will tell you where you should be going, and you will find yourself trying to do unnecessary hours because you didn't tell your money where it needs to go, but it's telling you how you should spend your time. Now, a budget doesn't have to be complicated. I know there's a lot of budget apps out there. I have friends that use budget apps and it works for them. Here's the thing though, what might work for them may not work for you. So just a simple next step is to open up maybe Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, or even just a old school notebook and pen, and start writing down your expenses and start writing down your income for the past month. Just do a quick audit. And from that, doing the addition and subtraction, see if you're spending more than your, and if you are, then we need to make some adjustments. Now, for some of you friends, I want you to think about this 80-20 rule, because the thing is 20% of our spending might be causing 80% of the financial pressure that we're experiencing. For some of us, maybe it's the 20% might be the Amazon bill, maybe it's the unnecessary subscriptions, maybe it's the going out. The 20% of your spending might be causing 80% of your pressure. Now, step number 3 is to prioritize generosity. The purpose of accumulation is distribution. You and I are blessed so that God can bless through us. In other words, the blessing doesn't end with us, but God wants to prosper you so He can bless through you. Now, generosity simplifies your life. I heard that thought from a pastor about 2 months ago when he was talking about tithing. I know this is a sensitive topic in this episode, but to be honest with you, I really don't care because this is something that's gonna sharpen you. Tithing is not my idea, it's not the pastor's idea, but it's God's idea. And if you're a Christian today, I want to challenge you to, if you're not tithing, to tithe. Because that 10%, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. There's so many blessings that comes with tithing. It's not just the financial piece, not just the financial increase, but beyond that, it simplifies your life. A few months ago, we had to make adjustments to our budget because our family has grown and we had to cut some things, but we didn't want to cut our tithe. At first, it was difficult to say no to those programs, to say no to those vacations. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm perfect, but I'm saying this because it's a principle that we've lived by. Ever since I said yes to Jesus when I was young, when I was only making $10 an hour, to how God has multiplied our finances over the years, we've seen God's faithfulness and work in our life. Generosity, it reminds us that everything that we have, it comes from God. That God is first, that He gives us peace and provision. And sometimes you're going to experience blessings and favor that will not make sense. So prioritize generosity. And number 4 is to do a regular audit. Like what I said earlier, we had to make some adjustments when it came to our finances. You have to make adjustments along the way. Life is not about perfection, but it's about progression. From time to time, you need to look at your financial framework, your financial system, and ask yourself, is my financial system still working for this season of life, and what needs to change? When my wife and I got married, we had a number on how much was enough for a family, and we tried to maintain that lifestyle for many, many years. And as our kids grew, they took on more activities. We had to make some changes on some of our financial goals. The goal is to have a plan and to be adaptive. What worked then may not work now. So friends, mastering your money is not about being perfect, but it's about being intentional. So as we close our time today, I want to challenge you to take one step. From the 4 steps that we talked about, from defining your why, from knowing where your money goes, creating a budget, generosity, and making adjustments, what is that one step that you need to make today? For some of you, it might be pausing, being really honest with yourself. For some of you, it's making a budget. I want to challenge you and make that step today, to put that into practice. I did talk about some controversial stuff in this podcast, but again, my goal here is to sharpen husbands and dads like you and me so that we can learn how to lead without burning out. Now remember, it's not about being perfect, but it's about taking those small, consistent steps and doing it over and over. When we master our money with wisdom and purpose, we're not just building financial stability, but we're building a foundation for a life of peace, presence, and purpose. So friends, I hope that you find our time useful and helpful. Let me know, what is that one step that you're going to take this week? And if you know someone who might benefit from this talk, why don't you go ahead and share this with them so that we can continue to sharpen each other. Friends, I'm praying for you. I believe in you. Let's continue to learn and grow, to lead our homes, to lead our workplaces without burning out. God bless you guys, and I'll see you next time.